Lesson 40 is titled Algebraic Subtraction, and you have one new definition to look over. If basically it says if you have A minus B, that is the exact same thing as saying A plus a negative B. Notice how we put the negative with the B and we put that in parentheses to group that together to show we're grouping that together. And also what we're saying there is that minus B is the opposite of B. And so we're working with opposites a lot when we do algebra, when we solve algebra equations in particular. So an example of this might be 5 minus 3. That's the same thing as 5 plus a minus 3. Just a different way of writing the same thing. And so algebraic subtraction, it's really addition, right? We could have titled this algebraic addition, but algebraic subtraction is really addition. And as we just showed with the definition, subtracting b is the same thing as adding a minus b. Subtracting 3 is the same thing as adding a minus 3. In other words, subtracting any number is the same thing as adding the opposite of the number. Okay? Subtracting any number is the same thing as adding the opposite of the number. You might be wondering why we even need to do that. Why do we need to do this algebra way kind of subtraction, especially on something like 5 minus 3? I mean, 5 minus 3 is 2. It's not that hard, right? Why do we have to do 5 plus a negative 3? Well, there really is no reason to do that. That's just an example. You don't have to use it on something that simple like that. That's why I haven't used it until now. Okay? Later, when you get much deeper into algebra, you may find that using algebraic subtraction is actually helpful, mainly because addition is often easier to think about than subtraction. Kind of like when we did problems in lesson 39 where we divided both sides instead of multiplying both sides by a fraction. It's easier to think of that individual number instead of a fraction. And so that's why we did it that way. So, there's just different things like that where you want to try to be more efficient with your math. And actually, you did quite a bit of subtraction, speaking of lesson 39, and we talked about adding a negative number to both sides in several of those examples. And we've also done it all the way back to lesson 5, working with sign numbers and number lines, lesson 26a as well. And if you take a look at example 39.4 again, you'll notice we use the additive property of equality to add negative numbers to both sides. So normally we do not usually describe that step as subtraction in algebra. Okay? We said adding so-and-so to both sides. If we're always describing addition of opposites instead of both addition and subtraction, we're just thinking about one thing, right? And that can help avoid confusion if you're just thinking about one thing instead of two things, especially when you're learning a new concept. So here in this lesson, we're just going to continue learning to think the algebra subtraction way. Look at example 1. Given that expression there, which of the following is the correctly rewritten form, the algebra subtraction form? Which one is correctly rewritten the algebra subtraction way? Okay, so we can just look at that expression and try to write it down ourselves to start with. Okay, and what we do with this is everything gets a sign and every number or term has a plus in between it. And so we're just thinking of grouping things together. Okay, so a 2 out front, that means a positive 2. If there's no sign there, it's a positive 2. Okay? And then we put a plus right here, plus a negative 5. The algebra subtraction way, algebraic subtraction way, if you want to think about it using that word. And then we've got a negative 4, so we're going to do a plus negative 4. We group that number and sign together. And then we have a plus 7. So we need a plus here, and we group it together, so we include its sign, plus a positive 7. That seems like a lot of extra work, but that's how you're supposed to do it. And that, therefore, is choice B. Okay? every number gets grouped, every number gets a sign in front of it, and you identify that in the problem. Okay. Problem 2, add algebraically. Okay, so let's just do as our first step what we just did in problem 1. Let's group everything with its sign, do the algebraic subtraction. Okay, plus 2 plus a negative 5. Okay, 2 minus 5 is plus 2 plus a negative 5. And then we have that minus 4. See, this is the same problem as in example 1. So we've already done this. Let's just do it again. Plus a negative 4 plus a positive 7. Okay, now let's add in pairs. 2 plus a negative 5. Think about moving to the right positive 2 on a number line and then back 5 the other direction. You'd have a negative 3. Okay, put that in parentheses. Plus, then we have a minus 4. So to the left 4, to the right 7. And that would be a 3, a plus 3. Okay, so now you just have opposites, right? A minus 3 plus a positive 3 is 0. Answer 0. Okay, add in pairs. We're not subtracting, we're adding algebraically in pairs here. Okay, B. A minus 3 out front, it's got its sign, so we just put a minus 3 there, plus a positive 2. We're rewriting this in the algebraic subtraction form, and then plus a negative 1. Add in pairs, a minus 3 to the left 3, to the right 2. That would be a minus 1 inside parentheses, plus another minus 1. So that's left 1 and then 1 again. That would be a minus 2 for the answer. Okay. Eventually, you're going to see that you don't always have to group things like this, but it does help. It does help you think things through and think about the sign that each number has. Let's do one more, add algebraically. Notice these numbers are already wrapped in parentheses, are already grouped together, but that doesn't mean algebraic subtraction is applied yet, okay? So notice that. Notice also we said add algebraically. That means algebraic subtraction. When we're doing algebraic subtraction, we're adding, right? So A, the way we do algebraic subtraction is we write the number and their signs and we put pluses in between. So we have a plus 2 in parentheses. Then we need a plus right here. And so that means we do minus parentheses minus 5. Close all those parentheses off. Okay? And then we do another plus sign, and then we have a minus a positive 4. Okay? That's okay to do. All right? Don't get all confused about the negative times negative 5. Okay? There's an understood 1 in there, right? That's a minus 1. Okay? When you see a minus and then parentheses, that means minus 1. Here again, that means minus 1. It's minus 1 times a positive 4. It's minus 1 times a minus 5. Okay, so let's simplify those. PEMDAS, simplify inside parentheses first. Plus 2 plus a positive 5, right? Minus 1 times minus 5 is plus 5. Minus times minus is positive, okay? Plus minus times positive is minus, negative 4. Okay, add in pairs. Plus 2 plus a 5 is plus 7. Plus a negative 4 is positive 3, or just 3. Okay. On our answer, we're not going to do the grouping and the sign and all that. We'll just have if it's positive, we just leave the number there. If it's negative, we put a minus out front. B, group things together. Minus a negative 2. Okay. It's minus 1 times a negative 2, right? We could put a 1 there if we want to, just to help us think about that we've got to do multiplication there. Plus a negative times plus 4. Okay, so that's a minus 1 again there. Plus a negative times negative 6. I'm going to stop writing that 1. Hopefully you get that. That is a negative 1. A negative out front is just a negative 1. Plus 2 is what that will simplify to. Minus times minus 2 is plus 2. Plus a minus times a positive is a minus 4. Plus a minus times a minus is a plus 6. Okay, add in pairs, a 2 and a negative 4, that's going to be a negative 2. Plus a positive 6, that would be just a 4. Keeping up with those negatives, that's a big part of algebra. We want to be careful as we can. So that's another part of algebraic subtraction is keeping those numbers and their signs grouped together well. Okay, well that's all for lesson 40.